All right, what's going on, everybody? We're back here now with the WNBA matchup report, ready to talk more about the W's tip-off weekend. We talked last show about how we were excited to cover the W this season. We gave what we were looking forward to, what games looking for this last weekend. If we're looking forward to covering each of these matchups that we call out before they played. Uh, and I think this opening weekend was a lot of fun, especially there were some crazy looking games this weekend. So I'm excited to get into that with you. But I just wanted to ask you, like, straight up right away, what were your overall impressions of the first weekend?
Chaos, and that's it. It's everything that we expect from any opening, whether it's in NFL, NBA, and now the W. Like it's now chaos, like opening weekend, because you talk about like all of the figuring out process of like all the teams, all the rosters, all the rookies trying to fit in and everything. It literally, I think, lived up to the expectations of like we're going to see a lot of chaos. This is going to be, we're constantly seeing the W head in a direction of positivity and growth, and I think this is a big reason why we're seeing this expand so well, because you're starting to see, and I don't say it's starting to see because it's been there for literally 30 years, but you're starting to see why this is reaching out to more people and why it's growing at the rapid pace that it is.
Yeah, yeah. There, especially, I want actually. Yeah, I want to start with this. Dude, the Portland
Actually,
Fire
wait,
game.
time out.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Before we start, we talk about speaking of expansion.
Oh, I
Um,
was yeah, I was gonna. Yeah, okay, yeah, yeah.
Okay, the board of governors has officially approved that the Houston Comets will tip off play in 2027. So when we will be doing this show next year, we will officially have the Houston Comets added to this. Or yeah,
Yeah, the
Comets added.
Connecticut Sun are moving to Houston.
Yeah,
I don't know enough of the legacy to comment on. I feel like, but I mean, hey, Houston's a fun basketball town, I guess. I don't know, but I know Connecticut's got a lot of history there too. Curious to see what the fan reactions to all this is going to be.
yeah.
All right, but let's get into dude. Honestly, the first game I wanted to talk about was one I didn't even call about as a matchup, and that was just because it was a really fun fan moment and just basketball moment in general. That's the Portland Fire hitting a game winner on the New York Liberty, your New York Liberty.
Whoa! Not my New York Liberty. It was, hey, look, like I said, like I was, a supporter. I've stepped back and I'm now waiting.
Yeah,
That
all
was
right, yeah,
that
you're
was my
right. We're both there.
I was like, all right, Philly's on the way. I'm not going to sit here and cheer for New York because once Philly gets here, I'm assuming they're going to be the rival. Like it just based off you got New York Knicks players out there saying crazy stuff. We gotta not mess with New York now.
Yeah, when
So
Don Staley is at Philly. No, I'm just kidding. All right,
yeah,
we're gonna bring it up
Don
every show.
Staley is the head coach of the Philadelphia Dawn. Like I'll be right there. I'll be right there supporting.
Yeah, but yeah. So Portland, I mean, what an awesome game! First of all, it was close, and then just watching the crowd reaction to the game winner. That is one of the loudest crowd pops I've heard in a while. So it's all so awesome to see Portland, who is really like a really good basketball city, which makes it unfortunate that the Trailblazers owners talk about potentially, being open to moving the team out of there. But at least on the women's side, we know that the crowd is going to show up for them, and we could potentially have like a really fun franchise going forward with one of the, or at least one of the. I would say both because I think both had a really fun weekend. But yeah, that was really cool to see. I don't know why I just want to start with that, but like that was just an awesome moment to see like the crowd to like have a moment like that, the first win of the season of the newer franchise, and to have that moment for the W. It just, I think you're right, like kind of like what you said in the intro. It just shows like the positivity and the growth of this league. Like it kind of like a moment like that encapsulates all of it.
Yeah.
But let's get to our matchups, man. What was your first matchup that you watched over the weekend?
So my first actually, it wasn't my first matchup, but it's the one I want to talk about first.
Okay.
And you mentioned Liberty, and I'm also going to mention your team, I guess, that you've somehow taken a liking to, which is the Mystics, because I watched that
Yeah.
overtime game, 98-93. It was New York Liberty win, but it like you talk about the chaos, and I think this was the first game where I thought of like as chaos because I was like, there's so much happening, and this game almost went to double overtime.
Yeah.
And I think the biggest thing is as well, like when there's a lot of stuff that I think we're both trying to figure out about the women's game and what's different from the men's side. And I think as much as we could focus on that, you still see a lot of the same things. And I think the biggest thing is the aggression. You mentioned this last week, but like being aggressive and drawing fouls early and getting to the rim is why I think the Mystics were able to make this game as competent and as interesting as it could have been. Where it's like Liberty came into this game like clearly the better side, the better roster construction. No Sabrina Ionescu yet; she's still dealing with injuries. But you have Brianna Stewart, you have Jonquel Jones. Didn't matter because the Mystics attacked down low, got them in foul trouble, and you're getting into. They were showing the graphic like in overtime, and it's like the Liberty barely have any size that like good minutes for them, and I was like, oh, this is what makes it interesting where we talk about like there's so much difference in the W and in the NBA, but like I look at this and say like a lot of the game is still there and the basic like ways that teams can attack each other, and I think the Mystics came into this with a good game plan and unfortunately just couldn't capitalize at the end.
Yeah, I will say the Mystic side. I'll talk about that a little bit later for one of my matchups. Liberty, dude, Brianna Stewart is fucking awesome. She is so good already to start the season, man. She had 31 in that first game and 23 in the second. Like, she is out there hooping, and like you said, like, you're missing Sabrina, and then was it the first or the second game where two of her teammates like fouled out, and it was basically just like, all right, Brianna, like you got it.
It was this game, yeah.
Yeah, it was like you got it, and she did. She had it. Like she was so awesome, man. And it's so cool to see her still be able to like because we talked about like last season, it was like she was dealing with some injuries and like she was still able to rise up for them. But like to see her like back in this start of this season, be able to start healthy and play like this, it's a great sign for the Liberty.
Yeah.
But yeah, so let me continue with the Mystics though because I did watch them. I watched their tempo game. And I mean, hey, speaking of tempo. Georgia and more, dude, holy crap, I'm glad she's out on the floor for them. To see her out there with Citron and all the other like young players for the Mystic, which I mean, I don't think, do they have, I'm pretty sure they don't have any players who's been in the league more than 3 years or something like that. But like, to see her out there finally be able to be on the floor with them and like controlling everything, like they are pushing the pace with her. It's actually a lot of fun to watch this Mystics team because while obviously they're figuring some stuff out with their young core and trying to see what their direction is going forward. It's nice to see them just like, hey, screw it, we're just gonna we're the younger team. We have all these good guards on our team who can shoot and can move the ball well and just get up the court fast. To see them play through her and just push the pace the way that they are, where she's getting like 5 assists a game, I think it is right now. Like that was a lot of fun for me to see. Where I'm like, hey, okay, cool. Like I said, I want to see what this young team could do, and like I don't expect them to win a whole lot of games, but then, hey, maybe they'll surprise us. Like this was a fun, surprising start for them, where it's like, all right, maybe they will be able to put some buckets up, maybe they will be able to push the pace and at least make these other teams uncomfortable, like the Liberty.
Yeah.
So that was a good start. And like you mentioned, like a lot of these games, it's kind of hard to like completely judge. Like we even do this with the NBA, where it's like, or any sport really, where it's like, well, maybe football's a little bit less, but we always say September. But it's like the very beginning of the season, especially with the W this year. I think it's actually even more so, where it's like you kind of have to give a lot of these teams grace these first couple of weeks of the season to as they're figuring themselves out, especially because of this offseason that they just had with the negotiations. Like everything just kind of felt like abrupt and truncated to a point where it's like, okay, now the season's here, and it's like, all right, well, a lot of these people are still figuring out who their teammates are, and it's so you're gonna have a lot to figure out there. But I actually kind of want to transition that to the Aces' first game of the season, where they got kind of punched in the mouth to start the season, where it's like you had the whole fun celebration, like here's our rings, here's everything that celebrate the previous year with Asia Wilson. I think they even like showed her new shoe at the beginning of the game, so they had a whole lot. Like the Vegas knew how to like do it up, but then they go out there and they get smacked by Phoenix, and it was a lot. It was a lot. But I remember I texted you at one point during the game about one player specifically, Jovana Nogic. Holy crap, dude. The Serbian player, she's 28 years old. It's her first time in the WNBA. She was out there hooping. And both of her first couple of games, they played 3 games. Her first 2 games, she went 4 or 5 for 3. Her third game was like not great, but like the fact that they're able to get a score like that, who just basically kind of like walked into the NBA, like, all right, cool. And I looked her up like during the game because I was like, all of us were like, who is this? Most people were like, even if you knew the WNBA, you're like, oh, okay, like just by name. But she was killing people in Serbia and the Russian leagues over there. And then now she's here like off to a really good start at the W. She had one move because my roommate was watching with me. She started at like the top. She goes crossover to get to the top of the post. A defender meets her. She goes behind the back, spinning fader in their face. Nothing like but nylon. And I was like, okay. I was like, holy shit. Like both my roommate and I were looking at her like, oh my god. So I mean, like they just took off against the Aces, who, I mean, we see this a lot with teams when they celebrate nights like this, where it's like they always like to talk about like we need to move on, we need to move on. We can't be too hungover with like the previous championship. But and luckily the Aces, it seems like it was just like a quick little like blip. Like okay, like we got the celebrations over, we got punched in the mouth because the next game against LA, they beat the crap out of them. And my main thing with LA that game was. I mean, Las Vegas just bounced back, and when you have Asia Mitchell and Jackie Young, who's quickly becoming one of my favorite players in the league, she just hoops, man. Like every time she shoots the ball, I'm like, that's probably going in. But to see them do what they did to LA, who after everything we were reading and talking about, looking at roster construction and like theorizing for how they were going to be this season, their defense was incredibly disappointing this game. And they even talked about it afterwards, where they were saying a few of their players were saying like, "Yeah, that's not us. We can't start like that. Like we have to be a lot better now. We can't let this be a thing that we're working on like weeks from now. Like this needs to be something we fix like the next game." So we'll see what that happens. I think they're playing tonight. Yeah, they're playing tonight. So we'll see if they got to figure it out. But it'd be curious to see.
Yeah. Before I transition to the next matchup I had, I think it's, and this is something I noticed because I went to go buy League Pass for the W. $40 for the entire season is crazy when you look at the NBA. And I
15 a
mean,
month.
crazy in a good way, where I was like, not gonna complain. You
Oh
can
hell
take
no!
my money. And I was literally like, really? Because I was like, that's it. Okay.
It's like I'll happily pay that. Yeah.
Yeah, I just put it in the cart. I was like, all right, like, we watched W all year. But yeah, I was just surprised by that, and I know like once again as the growth of the sport continues and they start getting more income and revenue, it definitely will go up. But I just want to appreciate it while we still have it at this reasonable price.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But yeah, my next two they're kind of tied together, and you'll understand why. Because it was just new look teams, and both
Yeah.
of these teams, both the Sky and the Dream, coincidentally, the deal of Angel Reese, where it's like for Atlanta, it's like your first couple games with Angel Reese, and then you look at Chicago Sky, it's your first couple games without her, or I should say first game without her since they play their second one tonight.
Yeah.
But either way, I think what we saw from both sides is exactly I think what like I don't want to say it's a win-win because I think it's too early to kind of say that. But when you think about what the Sky were able to get for her in return, and then be able to like have this new look roster and construct it in a way that looks to be like on paper and through one game pretty good, is a positive. On the other side, though, Atlanta was able to get an Angel Reese. You're able to get her be impactful, and you're able to have a suitable roster around her where things work out in the same way. So I look at both sides of these, and I'm like, all right, one game for the Sky and obviously two for Atlanta, but I think both sides have benefited so far.
100%. I mean, I watched the Atlanta Minnesota game was one of my games, and that's the only game Atlanta's played so far, right? Yeah. First of all,
Atlanta's played. They played against Dallas too.
oh yeah. That's right. That's right. Yeah, Jesus. So the Atlanta game against Minnesota was really really fun because it wasn't fun at first. Because I'll say on the Minnesota side, dude, Olivia Miles was awesome. Like for her to come out and get, I think it was 21 points. Yeah, 21 points in this one. She was really fun to watch. And then Pow Pow out there doing her thing. Like that's another thing that we talked about this last show where like we talked and covered a lot of these players when we were in college covering women's college basketball. And then now we get to the NBA, we're like, okay, cool. Like you're still able to do a lot of stuff you were successful with in college, and now we're seeing that in the NBA. So it's cool to see them make that jump and transition to the W. But Atlanta goes into the fourth quarter and makes a huge comeback, which was a lot of fun to see, and ends up winning the game off of an Angel Reese block that came off of a shot after a jump ball. It was a whole kind of crazy sequence, but then like everyone was kind of like, it was funny. The announcers during the game were like, "Did she block that?" Because at first they're like, it looked like she smoked the layup. They're like, "Wow, she missed that." And then you see Angel Reese like celebrating like hell yeah, and they're like, "Oh wait, she might have blocked that." And they showed like. So shout out to her for like getting a game-winning block in her debut with her new team. So and she was actually like pretty sensational, especially more in the second half. I will say like the second half Atlanta looked a lot better than the first half.
Yeah.
But Angel Reese in the second half did a lot more for them on offense and especially on defense.
I didn't have anything else to add.
Oh, okay. I was waiting for you. Okay, cool. All right, and then I had one other matchup we need to talk about. I think we both had it. Was the Dallas Indiana game?
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. That game was crazy. First of all, that was a nuts game. Just the scoring was, and they said this like before the game. They were like, "Hey, we expect the scoring to be up in this game specifically, but also just in the WNBA in general. With them trying to go for more spacing, the refs are looking out for more of the physicality and calling that more, calling fouls more on the physicality. So they're expecting, and that's I think also something we gotta realize. These first 2 or 3 weeks of the W, like we're going to see a lot of foul calls as everybody, including the refs, adjust to this new style of the W.
Yeah.
But I mean, this was the was it the first season opener where both teams scored 100, and it was insane. It was let's see, it was Caitlin Clark got kind of like she had a slow start, but got it going in the second half. Paige Beckers was insane in this game. Kelsey Mitchell is just a bucket. She had like 30, 31 in this game for them, and she actually had a couple chances in the last couple minutes of the fourth to win this game for the Fever. But like Sims was great. Odyssey Sims was awesome in this game. She had some clutch buckets late for the Wings in this game, which was really fun to see. But I think Paige Becker showed like why she's going to be a special player in this game alone. Like I know she didn't score the most in this game, but she was doing everything else for them as well. And she came up for them when it was needed. Although she did kind of like fly by Caitlin Clark on what was the last shot of the game, but Caitlin missed it. It was a dude. This was a highly entertaining game, and like I said, the FIFA had a chance to tie it with a minute left, and Kelsey Mitchell missed a corner three off of what it was like a baseline pass from Caitlin Clark. So it's like the FIFA had multiple chances to both tie and win this game in the end with some like decent shots, but the Wings held on and came up with that like the season opening win.
Yeah, it's interesting because
Yawning is crazy.
it's been a long day. I just look at this and say like this is I think the direction. And I think this is the type of like WNBA that like the fans and the newer fans are going to enjoy more because it kind of matches the high paced, fast scoring, and the higher scoring games that we're seeing, or I would say we saw from the NBA in the 2010s, where it's like you talk about the growth that they had, and we started to see the refs be less like we talked about this like last week. The NBA didn't just like yes we've constantly seen it grow and the rule changes and everything and less hand checking. We're now seeing the like it at a place where we're seeing the Knicks score almost 150 points a game, not consistently, but even the fact that they're able to do it one time, you're like, oh, that's insane. And we're seeing the W in a place where it's like they're now getting past like their 2000s basketball, and we're starting to see like 2010s like NBA. And I think this is like what's making this like sport as a whole just more enjoyable because we're starting to see higher skill level players like Kelsey Mitchell. We're starting to see Paige Beckers be effective in a variety of different ways. So to me, it's like I think this is like the W that I've loved to see so far to start the season.
Yeah, and I was gonna bring this up and shoot around, but because I was thinking about it. I don't know if this is like sicko already with the W, but like while watching the Mystics, I was like, man, this new freedom of movement and the pace that and like spacing they're gonna be able to have. I don't know why the Mystics are the ones to me thinking about it because I saw it in the other games obviously as well, but like the freedom of movement that we're gonna see a lot more of in the Ws, I think is gonna make it's gonna make it a lot more fun. Which the players said they said that's what they wanted, so
Yeah.
it seems like they were right. All right, do you have any other matchups you want to talk about?
Nope.
All right. I did have one more thing. Actually, you know what? I might have to say that for another time because I'm still cooking that one. But all right, what games are you looking forward to coming up next?
All right, looking up next. I literally accidentally closed my notes because I thought that you were done. Um,
Oh,
I was like before the matchups, and I was like, all right, whatever. And then like I was like, oh no, here we go.
yeah,
Um, all right. I'm also literally watching the Tempo Storm game
yeah.
right
I have it up on my phone right here. Yeah.
now.
Okay. Glad we're on the same page.
Same wavelength. I'm telling you, look, League Pass only $40. Get it, y'all. I'm telling y'all, it's
Well,
the way to go.
well, it's funny too because you were like, oh yeah, it's 40 a year, but they still also try to do the NBA thing where it's $15 a month. I'm like,
Yeah, I was like, what? Like, I was like, give me the full year. Like, what are you like?
I just like to think there's like a super fan out there who's been like, man, I've been following the W since the '90s, and like I'm gonna pay the $50 a month just to help them out. Which I mean, you're probably really just helping out like some billionaire, but yeah,
Yeah. I was like, 50, and I was like, I didn't even want to do the math 'cause I was like, it's gonna piss me off, like seeing the math shake out and be like, that just doesn't make any sense. All
yeah,
right. First off, I'll say that. And one I want to keep an eye on tomorrow, Minnesota versus Dallas. Literally, like we talk about like the like wanting to see these teams just continue to develop, and that's obviously what you're going to see from every team. But I really want to see, especially like how you're seeing more from Ozzie Fudd. Like I think like for a number one
Yeah.
overall pick, we need to see a bit more. And yes, literally a 2 game span, and we've seen a lot worse from a lot of other players. But I just want to see like continue to see more from her in the development. And then we talk about the links aspect of this, where it's like, how are you going to continue to I don't want to say like find life without Nafisa Collier, but like a little bit to that degree, where it's like what is going to be the brand of basketball, the style of basketball that we're going to see for you to start this season, and how are you going to continue to operate that, and how much of it is going to be through Olivia Miles.
Who is awesome.
Yeah.
Who's already come out awesome, which they need as they get healthier. All right. My first one, this one for me is Friday. I got Mystics and Fever, but I know I'm doing a lot of Mystics talk, so I'm sorry. But the backcourt matchup to me in this one was just really interesting between like where you have like Kelsey Mitchell, Caitlin Clark, and then Kiki and more now. With
So
yeah, I think that one that could be another high scoring one. I mean, the Mystics are they're putting up points. So and then we saw the Fever, who they've always still only played the one game, but they put up over 100 points. So maybe we'll see another offensive like crazy output there. Which one do you have next?
I'm gonna go over to LA, and look, this is more so I want to see this from the LA side of this, where it's like the Sparks versus the Tempo on Friday as well. I just feel like when you're talking about trying to find and establish a rhythm, I think they're a team that probably needs it more than anything. And I know that it's easy to say that after one game, but I just there's some things where you look at this and say like I'm not that I'm worried at all. But that first game just didn't look good. You got blown out your first game, and I want to see how they come back and respond.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, my next one, I got. You were just talking about the Minnesota, but I'm gonna put the Sky and Lynx game that's happening on Sunday. That's gonna be my next one with that. Part of this is because I haven't watched the Sky yet, which is insane since my favorite player plays for them. But shout out Diggins, by the way. Like she's averaging 21, 11, and 7 off. Off of her first game. Like okay, like sick. Great start for her and the Sky in general. They're gonna be an interesting team to watch this season. Like after everything that happened for them like last season and going into the off season to trade with Angel, like rebuilding this team up. We've already talked about it, but yeah, the Sky are becoming a really interesting team to watch.
Yeah. I actually don't think I have another matchup. Those I like those two that I have, and then you stole one of mine. So
Oh, I did. My fault. I was trying to look ahead to early next week because I was only looking at the weekend, so I was trying to look early next week. Mystics
game there for you.
So yeah, there's a Mystics game for me. There's yeah, but yeah, I didn't think there was any other that totally stood out to me. A lot of this is like there's specific matchups I'm looking at these first couple of weeks, but I'm also just trying to watch as many games as I can so I can just get a better feeling for everyone. But man, that opening weekend was a great start to the season. All right, did you no more matchups for you, right?
Nope.
Okay. Did you have anything for shoot around?
Honestly, not yet. We haven't had like yes, it's been all craziness, but it's been relatively on the court craziness. So or nothing, nothing off the court to like mention that it's like oh yeah that was insane, which is already I praised the W for that a lot more because with the men's side we already did have stuff after their first weekend where it was like bro what are you doing like so once again. I don't want to say look we're off to a better start than I don't want to jinx it, but I think we're heading in a good direction.
100%. I think this season could end up being like, I don't know. I don't know if I want to say like legendary, but it could end up being what that we talk about for a bit, where it's like this is like when we saw a shift in the W.
Yeah.
For many reasons, obviously, like stuff that was happening, but yeah.
Legendary. Then you just don't. You're scared to put the title on it, but I don't know. Maybe I am.
Give me another week. Give me another week. We got to make sure that the opening weekend and all these scoring outputs weren't fugazi. We gotta make sure this is consistent. Because so I did have things for shoot around, but I kind of jumped the gun and talked about a lot of them as we were going through, which was Jovana Nogic, Brianna Stewart, Portland game winner for their first W, and then the freedom of movement conversation. So we kind of already went through my stuff with shoot around.
We always just hit it,
Well, because I get to it like, oh, where they talk about the team, I may as well talk about the point I had for them. But Yeah, man, I can't wait to keep watching this. The young class for this rookie season is already looking good. That is what I had to mention. Flajay Johnson. Shout out to her, man. She might not be too efficient at the moment, and she's already started off this game. Like I think the last time I saw was 2 of 6, but um, like she is hooping. Like she is out there hooping, and it looks like that team, especially as they get healthier, could be a little more fun to watch than we thought.
Yeah.
But all right, man. Anything else?
Nope.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for listening and watching. We appreciate all the support that you give us. We're going to continue to put out this content, especially with the W. As we get more familiar and watching more of these games, we're definitely going to have more in-depth conversations as we learn more and get used to the league. But a fantastic start. I'm glad we're covering it and can't wait for more. So, like I said, thank you everybody for listening and watching. We'll be back again soon. I've been Ty. That's Jay, and we'll see you next week.